I'm coming at you live on tape from Sydney, Ohio. Today we're talking the greatest Bigfoot movie ever made, Amityville Bigfoot. It's also the greatest Amityville movie ever made. So it's a clash of both worlds, Amityville and Bigfoot. It is the sensitive story of a Bigfoot who escapes outside of Amityville and the caring scientists who want to, I guess they want to bring it in and liberate it, even though it's already free. I think the one wants to have sex with it, technically. It starts as any good Bigfoot movie starts with scientists preparing to test on a Bigfoot and using terms that don't make any sense for scientists. Because they don't sound anything like scientists, they're just people in lab coats. And then they yell at Louis to sedate it and put it on the table. Which I will do from now on. Whenever I want something put on the table, I will just yell, Louis, sedate it and put it on the table. Louis begrudgingly agrees, but the Bigfoot has escaped and kills Louis. Then Annie goes in to check on Louis because and she sees Louis on the ground and berates Louis. Then the Bigfoot gets Annie and Annie screams. Then Ian comes in and sees Louis on the ground and Annie crying and thinks Louis had sex with Annie. So Louis unconscious. So he thinks Louis, who's unconscious, molested Annie. And I guess took a nap afterwards. And then Bigfoot comes in and smacks Ian upside the head. And that's when we get the title screen, Amityville Bigfoot. Then we go to our second group of people who are shooting a movie about a Bigfoot chasing people in the woods. These are, I assume, the woods outside of Amityville. So we never see the Amityville house in this movie. But that is because it's in space, remember? This wasn't a Polonia Brothers film, but I assume it happens in the same universe as the Polonia Brothers film. Anyways, the Bigfoot is chasing the woman, and the director thinks they did a good job. While the producer, his father, is taking blood pressure pills by the bottle and is screaming about how it's horrible and he's going to kick his director's son out of the house. Which would be me someday as a producer, except I don't take blood pressure pills yet. I would be taking headache pills by the bottle and screaming, and no one on the movie set gets along. And then we find the other guy who works on a movie set protesting. I'm not sure what they're protesting because they all have different signs, including one guy holding a sign that says no more Amityville movies. And they bring him back to the set, where he follows a homeless guy who stole all the set's food, which was really just junk food, back to his camp. And he asks for drugs. I know what that and this mean. I don't know what this, and I don't remember the other one he did. But I don't know what those mean. I don't know what this and something else that he did means. Maybe it's because I'm not up to date on the modern drug lingo. But he won't do booze because it's bad for his liver. But they eventually agree to let him do drugs with them. And then the Bigfoot attacks. killing all of them but the original homeless guy who stole the food, who walks off because he has to take a shit. Meanwhile, back at the lab, they get Ian up, who's complaining about his head. That's really all that happens in this scene. Ian complains about his head. Later at the lab, Annie reveals that she's a spy. And she's been sent to liberate Bigfoot and talks Ian into joining her. Ooh. And they lie about what happened inside with the Bigfoot, but the Monroe, who's the leader, doesn't believe them and knows Annie is a spy and goes to take her off. When the other lab coat guy, who we only hear his name once and he doesn't have very many lines, hits Monroe upside the head with a brick and ties him up, letting Annie and Ian go free to find the Bigfoot. Meanwhile, the Bigfoot is causing chaos as he kills the Bigfoot guy the guy in the Bigfoot costume on the movie set, and he releases lethal acid from his nipple to kill the special effects guy from the movie set. Then the producer father has a heart attack, which with blood pressure meds, you wouldn't really have a heart attack, you'd more likely have a stroke. Just saying. And then shoves the director's camera up his butt and out his mouth, which is always a great way to die. If I had to choose a way to die, I'd want my camera shoved up my butt through my mouth. The two actors run, take off running, and eventually make amends, but they do not kiss. Back at Amityville Labs, which is the shack, which is what they call the shack, where they are testing on Bigfoot, Annie and Ian have a discussion about pegging and why, and Ian wanting to date Annie, and how they're going to take down Bigfoot. Annie reveals she has the Trent gun, and Ian reveals that he'd really like Annie to tie him up and whip him. This is a comedy, people. Bigfoot continues his reign of terror. As more people arrive at the park, this time a bird-watching group whose husband argues with his wife, taking away her binoculars because she's not an official member of the bird-watching group, so she can't watch birds. So I would have just flipped her off and go, look at these birds. That would have just been me as a husband. But it takes away her binoculars, and then they go into a park to watch birds where Bigfoot is running loose. And then Bigfoot kills a guy's dog. He steals the naked guy's dog in a stroller and pushes it off a cliff. The dog is injured at the bottom of the cliff, but the dog is alive until Bigfoot hits it with a big-ass rock and dances away. This is when Bigfoot starts dancing. Bigfoot later pees on a guy's tent. They were looking for water, him and his daughters, and he pees on it, and so they drink the water. Well, they drink the pee, and then he later squirts them with the pee. Meanwhile, we meet our Annie's friends, who are also after the Bigfoot, with Annie, a group of do-gooders who decide to set up traps for Bigfoot, non-lethal traps, catch the Bigfoot. And the bird watchers still watch birds, but the wife finds an interesting character in a man in a hat waving a plastic gun around. She wants to go fuck him. And the husband seems okay with this. So she leaves, and the bird watching group is like, yay! But then the guy in the bird watching group who's secretly fucking the wife is like, I gotta go after her. So they're like, go. Hey, we're just gonna go look for more birds. Meanwhile, Bigfoot has killed more people. I don't remember him who he killed yet, but I don't think he has killed more people. But the guy with the gun shoots Bigfoot in the gut with his plastic gun and says, that's a gut shot. That'll take you down. And then he runs away, and the actors run away. But they run into the wife, and they tell her not to go out and they'll go that way because of the Bigfoot. She thinks, they're just actors. I'm going to go that way. And Bigfoot kills her. And then the guy screwing the wife, who's not the husband, goes after the wife. And Bigfoot rapes him in the ass and kills him. Fucks him to death. Mr. Garrison would be proud. But then, I'm saying but then a lot. The group that Annie's not with, well, Annie and Ian come to the security guard in the middle of the woods. Whatever he's guarding, it's the woods. And get past him by Ian knocking him out after having him molest Ian. But Ian is willing. Molesting is right as long as the other person is willing. Then it's not molestation. It is just groping with intent for sex. So they get past the security guard, and the people who are working with Annie find their friend dead, and then Bigfoot attacks. But the girl, whose name I don't know, gets away and finds Annie and Ian. And then they run into the actors, and Bigfoot is behind them. Annie shoots it with the tranq gun after it refuses to respond to her sexual advances. And then Ian takes the tranq gun and shoots it so many times that Annie thinks it's dead. And Annie cries over its dead body as it was the biggest she ever had. Clearly, she's never had done a Native American. So Ian and Annie and the actors leave the compound while the girl, I think her name is Casey, goes off with the insane asylum guy, who's the guy with the plastic rifle, to get dinner. Ian and Annie eventually argue and then agree to come back to bury Bigfoot, but Bigfoot is gone. While this influencer is out looking for Bigfoot with his phone off and finds him, and Bigfoot shits in his face. And then it is revealed that the Bigfoot is Eric Roberts, who was the head of Amityville Labs. But he's not Eric Roberts, the head of Amityville Labs. He's Eric Roberts, the actual actor Eric Roberts. Because he's so desperate for work, he's just dressing up as a Bigfoot now, hoping to be in the movies as Bigfoot. And that is the end of Amityville Bigfoot. This is a great movie. It is really funny. It's got good kills in it. The science people don't come off at all like science people. They're hilarious. Eric Roberts is good in it. Surprisingly, Eric Roberts is in it, but Eric Roberts is in like half a dozen movies. Is in like a dozen movies a year, so he just does every movie that's offered to him. Hell, I think Eric Roberts just shows up on movie sets and goes, "Can I be in your movie?" Highly recommend Amityville Bigfoot. So now we're going to do a song about Bigfoot as a dog squeak toy. We do not need that. Now, there have been many songs about Bigfoot, but I think mine will successfully stand out. Once you hear it, I think you'll agree. I don't get why I don't get this ready beforehand. But I don't. Probably because I'm afraid the ghost will steal it again. Some people call him Bigfoot. Others prefer the name Sasquatch. 'Cause all I know is he's not kaput. 'Cause he wanders the forest in springs. He makes his home in the woods. That's where you'll find his things. You go chasing the beast. There's one thing you should know. Sex with Bigfoot is the best you'll ever have. Sex with Bigfoot makes you more than glad. His penis is bigger than most. He's a great sexual host, and he'll make you orgasm every time. Now, Bigfoot does not go in search of his sexual partners. Instead, they come to see his perch. They all makes and models and sizes, women, men, and some lesbians. They try to come and disguise it, but end up satisfied after an hour or two. Sex with Bigfoot will be the best you ever had. Sex with Bigfoot will make you more than glad. His penis is bigger than most. He's a great sexual host. He'll make you orgasm every time. You may think that it's bestiality, but not getting any is more like misery. He's not like any other. He's more than just another brother. What he does is pure biology. Sex with Bigfoot will be the best you ever had. Sex with Bigfoot will make you more than glad. His penis is bigger than most. He's a great sexual host, and he'll make you orgasm every time. Join me next week when the movie is Isaac's Road. It's a movie that only earned $30 at the box office.